Okay, so what begins with a winter bloom, a single bloom, and a bargain. Kind of strange bargain. And then journeys through teeth and fire and ends, believe it or not in despair, but in devotion.
That's a good one.
Welcome to the deep dive.
It is a good one, yeah.
You guys sent us some really captivating stuff this time. And as always, we're going to unpack it all together. We're going to pull out those juicy insights and really help you understand, what it all means, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today's focus is a little bit different. We're going to be looking at a traditional tale, a folk tale, actually.
Folk tale, yeah. Transcribed.
Transcribed, yeah. And we want to kind of peel back the layers of this story and explore the potential meanings. And there are a lot of unexpected turns.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Oh, yeah. Lots of twists and turns in this one.
Yeah. So to set the scene for you, imagine, if you will, a king in olden times. And like many kings, back then he had a gardener.
Of course, yeah, standard.
Right. So one fine winter day, the king's daughter, her mother, and some companions they're walking through the garden.
It's a winter garden, so imagine, it's a bit stark. It's not full of bloom, but it has its own beauty.
It's got that sort of stark, winter beauty.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the gardener, he wanted to offer the princess something, so he kind of looks around for anything, in this dormant landscape.
And he finds a flower, a single winter flower.
Just one.
Just one. Imagine that, a single bloom, almost like a defiance of winter, standing out against the stark backdrop.
Yeah, and you can picture, this one bloom, how striking that would be.
Yeah.
And so the princess is really charmed by this. This splash of color, this splash of life.
This little bit of hope in the middle of winter.
Exactly. And so she asked the gardener what he would like in return, for this gift.
A pretty standard thing. You give a gift, you get a gift.
Yeah, but instead of asking for something, valuable or anything material, the gardener, he makes a really peculiar request.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. He asks that on her wedding night, she comes to him first.
Now, that's not your usual thank you gift, is it?
It's not. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, immediately it throws up this question of like a deferred consequence. You've got this promise made in this moment of like, childlike delight, but it's carrying this unforeseen weight. It makes you think about childhood promises and the obligations that come with them.
Yeah. And it also makes you wonder about the gardener's motives.
Yeah, well, absolutely. There are layers there we need to unpack.
So time passes. And the princess, well, she grows up, she becomes a woman, and wouldn't you know it, she gets engaged. She's betrothed to the vizier's son.
The vizier's son,
yeah.
Quite a match.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal.
A big deal.
And the wedding day comes, with all the fanfare, all the celebration.
The music, the dancing, the whole shebang.
But on their wedding night, in a moment of intimacy, the princess, she reveals this pact that she made.
Imagine the weight of that secret. To carry that with you all those years.
Years, yeah. And then to reveal it on your wedding night.
Must have been so difficult.
But, it also says something about her. It shows her integrity, this sense of responsibility, this feeling bound by her word, even though it was a childhood promise.
It speaks to her character, for sure.
So naturally, the groom he's shocked.
I can only imagine.
Right. But, after she explains, he actually agrees that she has to honor her word.
That's surprising, isn't it? You don't often see that kind of understanding in these old stories.
Not at all. Most grooms wouldn't be so understanding.
It's almost like he recognizes a higher obligation. He understands that there's something bigger at play here.
Yeah, it makes you think about trust, and sacrifice in a relationship.
Absolutely.
So picture this. She leaves the wedding chamber. She's dressed in all of her finery, her wedding gown. It's dark out.
And she's alone.
She's alone, yeah.
It's a perilous journey, walking through the night in those clothes.
And it's a long journey.
Very long.
And as she's traveling, she encounters a wolf.
Oh.
A hungry wolf.
Now that's a challenge, a real test of her resolve. What would you do faced with a hungry wolf?
Run.
Right. But she doesn't.
No. She does something really unexpected. She asks the wolf if she can tell him her story first.
She wants to explain herself.
Yeah. And so she tells him about the promise that she made to the gardener, about her wedding, about her husband letting her go, about her whole journey, this mission to fulfill her vow.
And what does the wolf do?
The wolf, well, he listens. And, he's moved by her story.
Moved by her commitment, by her honesty.
Yeah. He lets her pass.
He lets her go. Just like that.
Just like that. He's impressed by her integrity, And he even says he'll wait for her to come back.
Wow. So the wolf becomes almost a protector in a way. It's like even in this wild animal, there's a recognition of a higher virtue, a higher law.
It makes you question, how we often think about wild animals, doesn't it?
It really does.
So she continues on her journey, right? And a little while later, she comes across a dragon.
A dragon. Oh my goodness.
A dragon, breathing fire.
That's like going from bad to worse.
It is. The dragon also intends to eat her.
Of course.
But just like with the wolf, she asks if she can tell him her story first.
So she repeats the whole tale.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
About the bargain with the gardener, the groom's consent, and even the wolf's mercy.
She lays it all out.
Yeah.
And the dragon, how does he react?
And incredibly, the dragon is also moved by her story.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just the wolf. There's something about her story, about her commitment that resonates even with these powerful, almost mythical creatures.
Yeah. And he lets her pass unharmed, too.
Wow. It's almost like her honor, her commitment are acting as a shield, protecting her on this journey.
I know. It's incredible. But the challenges aren't over yet. She keeps going, and a little bit further on, a lion appears.
A lion, the king of beasts.
The king of beasts.
What happens then?
Well, the ground is shaking, he's roaring.
Pretty terrifying.
And of course, he says he's going to eat her.
But she's faced a wolf and a dragon already.
She's brave. She doesn't falter. She tells the lion, look, I know you're powerful, but please just hear me out. And she tells him her whole story. Again.
She tells the lion about the promise, the husband, the wolf, the dragon.
Everything. And she emphasizes the fact that everyone has given her permission to fulfill her promise.
She's emphasizing the respect she's been shown, the trust she's earned.
Exactly. And believe it or not, the lion, he's touched by her story too.
He lets her pass.
He lets her pass. He says, go and fulfill your vow. It's like the natural world is recognizing and respecting her commitment to honor.
Amazing. So she's finally made it through all these challenges. She's reached the garden.
She reaches the garden, and she finds the gardener there. He's sitting by a lamp, reading.
And she's still in her wedding dress. Imagine that image, the contrast, the wedding finery in this quiet garden at night.
I know, right?
I must have been startled.
He was definitely surprised. So she explains everything to him. The promise, the wedding night, the groom's understanding, the wolf, the dragon, the lion.
The whole incredible journey.
Yeah, and then she tells him that she's ready to do whatever he asks.
She's ready to fulfill her promise.
Yeah. But then comes the twist. The gardener, he asks for her forgiveness.
He forgives her.
Yeah. He tells her to go back to her husband. He says that her faithfulness, her willingness to even make the journey is enough.
He recognizes the value of her commitment, even beyond the literal fulfillment of the promise.
Exactly. The effort, the integrity, that's what matters to him.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
It is. So she turns around and she starts to make her way back home.
And she encounters the animals again.
Yeah. She meets the lion, the dragon, and the wolf again.
Of course, they're waiting for her.
And they all ask her what happened, what the gardener said, what he did.
They're invested in her story now.
They are. And when she tells them that the gardener let her go, that he understood, they each, in turn, they express their respect for her. They let her pass unharmed.
They affirm her virtue, her commitment.
Yeah.
It's like a confirmation, a seal of approval from the natural world.
It's really powerful. So finally, she makes it back to her husband. And of course, he's overjoyed to see her.
He must have been worried sick.
He was. And she tells him the whole story, this incredible adventure.
And they lived happily ever after, I presume.
They did.
So what can we learn from this story? It's full of symbolism, of deeper meaning.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. What about that single winter flower? What do you think that represents?
It's such a striking image, isn't it? Maybe it's a symbol of hope, of beauty in unexpected places. Or maybe it represents the small, seemingly insignificant things that can have huge consequences.
And the bargain itself.
Yeah.
What about that? I mean, it's a bit creepy. Right?
Well, it definitely speaks to the power of promises, the unexpected ways they can bind us. It's almost a cautionary tale to think carefully about the commitments we make, even in seemingly lighthearted moments.
And the journey, through the night, facing those dangerous creatures, it really emphasizes this theme of facing adversity, sticking to your principles even when it's hard.
Absolutely. And her wedding clothes throughout the journey, that's interesting too. It's like a symbol of her commitment, a reminder of her vow, even as she's facing these incredible challenges.
It adds this extra layer of meaning, doesn't it? Like she's a bride, but she's also on this quest, this almost mythical journey.
It's fascinating.
So what are the big takeaways here? One, keeping promises even when they're difficult.
Absolutely. The importance of integrity.
And this idea of unexpected kindness, that even these wild, powerful creatures can be moved by compassion, by understanding.
And the power of honor, the way it can protect us, even in the most unexpected ways.
So, to you, the listener, what resonates the most in this story? This journey through teeth and fire, this tale of a princess and a promise.
What surprised you? What did you learn? What questions does it raise for you?
We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think those encounters with the animals symbolize? What's your interpretation of the gardener's final decision?
And if this story has sparked your curiosity, we've put together a playlist of similar folktales, stories that explore these universal themes of commitment, honor, and unexpected kindness. Check it out.
And here's a final thought. This whole story started with a simple promise, made in a moment of gratitude, a moment that probably seemed insignificant at the time. So, what seemingly small commitments have you made in your life that might hold unexpected weight? What might they reveal about you, about your values, about your character? Something to think about.